What is going on? It is Alex coming back at you with another video, and today, rather than doing just a basic recap of day 3 of the Senior Bowl, we are actually going to be doing an in-person mock draft. I have the Dream Team, the Avengers. I have on my right Broshmo, as well as on my left. Someone you probably don't know, just kidding, it is Marcus Whitman, that franchise guy. Guys, you excited for today?
I'm stoked. I mean, I woke up this morning and I was like, kind of want to do a mock draft, and then we were sitting at practice today. You were like, "Hey, you want to do a mock draft instead?" I'm like, "Yeah, that sounds pretty good." So
yeah,
looking forward to it.
It's our first in-person mock draft. It's my first in-person mock draft with collaboration, and so we're gonna be doing the order just as we're ordered here. We're gonna have Marcus taking the first overall pick. I'm gonna be taking the second, and then Broshmo taking the third, and then we're gonna be going on rotation from there. So with the number 1 overall selection, Marcus, who are you going to be taking for Tennessee?
So I actually asked for this one because I did a mock draft before coming out here, and that was fresh off of the whole like generational comment thing from the new GM for the Titans, and I did go Travis Hunter, and I've thought about it, and I don't think I'll be putting Travis Hunter there the rest of the way because I think it's either going to be a quarterback or Abdul Carter. Just thinking more about that defensive line and truly how much they need edge presence. They have corners on the roster. They have, I almost said Jerry Jeudy, but who's their wide receiver? Oh, my God. Calvin. Jerry Jeudy and Calvin Ridley have really started to blend together in my mind in recent seasons. But, no, I think it's either going to be Abdul or it's going to be a quarterback. For me, I'm going to take Cam Ward off the board. I am higher on Cam Ward. It's been a fun week to kind of have conversations with so many people that we all come out here, we all respect each other's opinions, and some people have Shedeur, but I do think it's actually more common for people to have Cam Ward. And a lot of people had the experience I had where just kind of was better than I thought he was going to be for a guy that gets a lot of crap for throwing a lot of interceptions. I think he's a smarter quarterback than kind of the public discourse is giving him credit for right now. Obviously the stuff he does with play extension and the high upside stuff that he does, that's just phenomenal. So this is a tough call in terms of like what I would do. If I had job security, I would take Abdul Carter, I think, and hope for an even, because I like Cam Ward, but this is the number 1 pick we're talking about here. So it is tough. If I had job security, I think I would go Abdul Carter and try to build things up a little bit more. But if I'm putting myself in that building, which, I mean, they've had 3 GMs in 3 years, so you would think he does maybe actually have some job security. But the coach, Brian Callahan, I think it's a big year for him, and I think he's going to be pushing pretty hard to get a young quarterback to work with here. So, yeah, I'm going to go Cam Ward.
I thought you were going to go with Abdul Carter.
I was very convinced you were going to go with Abdul.
I was actually very prepared.
I was like, oh, damn. Okay. Yeah. Well, obviously, as someone who has my criticisms for Cam Ward, I also understand that if I'm sitting there and I do have job security, I am absolutely perfectly happy with either Cam Ward or Abdul, because with Cam Ward, you kind of buy yourself a little bit of time if you do have some job insecurity, but at the same time, you also then have time to develop if you have security. So I understand that for sure, and Cam Ward's far more of a number 1 overall pick type of quarterback, in my opinion. So I could totally see the potential there, and I could see the reasoning why. Shout out to, what's his name, JT Runke? Yeah. As well as Easton Freeze. We actually had a really good conversation about this last night. So shout out to those guys. Feel free to go follow them over on X. But at the number 2 pick for the Cleveland Browns, this makes it extremely easy for me. Abdul Carter was the person I thought was going to go at number 1. Kind of had me a little bit worried about Travis Hunter here at number 2. And I think that for Travis Hunter's sake, I mean, there's this BS notion that Deion's going to say, I'm not sending any of my boys to Colorado. Or not to Colorado, but to Cleveland. I don't think that's the case. Do you guys think that's the case? Like, it'll actually make an effect?
I mean, we heard that with Caleb last year. Oh, he's not going to Chicago.
Right.
So, yeah. I mean, right. And I get it. It's Deion, a little bit different.
Right.
But
that being said, though, I do think that the best possible outcome here is to allow someone like Abdul Carter to go into a designated pass rushing role early on and allow him to grow and flourish under Myles Garrett's his leadership as well as his mentorship. And I think that when you have Isaiah McGuire there as that safe backup, as that edge setter, you can actually really work with Abdul's strengths early on and mitigate his weaknesses as he continues to polish. So I see the long run vision there. I'm going to go Abdul Carter at number 2 overall.
All right, so I was prepared to take Cam Ward at 3-4.
You're welcome.
Giants.
Yeah, I screwed everything up for you.
You did. we'll get back to the Raiders in a little bit, but I'm actually going to take Travis Hunter here.
Ooh.
Yeah, because I mean, if you're Brian Daboll and Josh, I feel like Daboll's been waiting to like draft his guy.
Yeah.
And now we get to this draft and it's like, well, shucks, this sucks.
Yeah.
Got a short leash. Feels like they're just gonna can the whole front office, and I think I'd rather take a shot on day 2 with maybe like a Quinn Ewers, Jackson Dart, or even just look at what's in free agency. I don't know, maybe bring Sam Darnold back to New York, kind of. But
that would be fun. That'd be fun.
Are there trade talks at this spot?
I'm listening.
I would have been talking with number 1 for
because
trade talks.
if you look ahead,
Yep.
I mean the Raiders would probably take Shedeur, so you don't want to go behind the Raiders. So it's probably not worth. Or you were talking about not even taking Shedeur. You were talking about
I'm totally like, you know what? I'm just gonna take the best player on the board.
Yeah.
And I mean they have a need at corner. That's perfect. You could play wide receiver, dude. Him and Malik and Wandale. That'd be fun as hell. And yeah, you're just gonna have to send it with a veteran quarterback option. Yep. I mean, I don't think Shedeur, however you say it, saves Daboll's job. Just don't. So,
well, maybe also you brought up the fact that the veteran quarterback might have an equal, if not greater, impact. This way, you still get the best player available, and you get an equal, if not greater, impact at the quarterback position, which gives Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen the best chance to save their jobs. We'll go Travis Hunter at number 3, and you're up with the Patriots.
I'm up with the Patriots at number 4.
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm gonna go Ted McMillan.
Oh, fuck you. Seriously?
Absolutely.
Oh, come on.
I'm 100% taking Ted McMillan.
Oh, come on.
I'm extremely high on Ted. As much as I want to give help to the D-line and everything else New England needs help with, which is insert here, like everything. Give Drake a guy. That wide receiver core was brutal. The 2 receivers they took in the draft last year gave them nothing. They have a nice slot piece in total brain fart.
You're talking about Pop?
Pop. Yeah, Pop. I like Pop in the slot, but man, give a nice big wide receiver for Drake May to lay it out there. I'm so high on Ted McMillan, man. I think he's nice. So smooth. I think he's got more speed than anybody his size has any business with. The football IQ is just off the freaking radar. And that goes back to high school. Like, everybody just raves about this guy. I meant it when I said he is like Justin Jefferson's long-lost Hawaiian brother. Like, I really see the smoothness in his game and obviously the ball skills. Like, I think he can be one of those guys in the league. So I'm not passing up on that at 4 when you already got the quarterback.
That was my dream pick at number 5, hence the instant gut reaction. I was all excited to be able to get the next Mike Evans for Liam Cohen. But I am sitting here at number 5 with Jacksonville. And I have 2 guys I'm pretty happy with selecting here. Of course, I'd be listening to trade talks if there is a team wanting to jump the Raiders per chance. But at the same time, who's going to do it?
Saints
who's going to do
their guy?
Right. I mean, are the Jets going to be in desperation mode because Aaron Rodgers is gone? I don't think so. I don't think that's a very realistic outcome as well. So with that all being said, if I'm sitting here and I'm Liam Cohen, what I would do is go Will Johnson. But Will Johnson ended off the year, I think, week 7, week 8, and he hasn't really played since, has been having some nagging injuries. I love him to death. He's my number 1 player in the class. But also Cohen ended up seeing the value of someone like Kalijah Kancey who could jump into, be able to just shoot gaps and be able to really create interior pressure. Mason Graham has that, and he has size that Kalijah Kancey doesn't even have. So I do wonder if that's going to play a factor in terms of what he can see when he's building his super roster there with Mason Smith, Mason Graham, as well as Travon Walker and Josh Hines-Allen. I'm curious for you guys, though.
Armstead there, too.
And Armstead.
For now. Yeah.
So what would you guys be looking at this pick as well? If you're stuck between those 2 options, or if there's a third option, what do you guys value?
For me, I think Will Johnson is the right pick. It's the common pick for sure. How much does and this is a good question for you guys because you've watched these guys a little bit more, but how much does the depth of the interior D-line class factor in that you maybe can get a guy at that spot at the top of the second if you want to go that route and get the stud corner up top? I think it just comes down to your best player best player available situation there. So that's your
we were talking about how desolate that corner 2 position was last night for Jacksonville.
Yeah, it's bad.
It is bad. Well, I'm going to be perfectly happy selecting my number 1 overall player. That's what I was going to do anyway, but I did like the idea of potentially throwing out the theory that Mason Graham might be giving Kancey with greater size and ability.
Well, you don't want to roadblock
Mason Smith.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't want to roadblock him too much because he was a
second round
investment.
pick.
Even if it was Balky's choice, he was always going to be a project, and you don't want to just roadblock that.
Right. Right.
All right. Las Vegas Raiders. I guess I'm taking Shedeur Sanders, quarterback out of Colorado. I mean, you get Pete Carroll there. You got time to develop him. You have an offensive line trending in the right direction. Like DJ Glaze, way better than he had any right to be.
Yeah.
Very solid season.
Yep.
So, I mean, he gets to be under the learning tree of Tom Brady, from what I hear.
Yeah.
So,
all right. So we'll send it in.
It's a big market for Deion and company.
All right. So Shedeur is off the board.
And then Deion Sanders gets to be the head coach after Pete Carroll. It's great.
Oh, my gosh. The protege to Pete Carroll is Deion Sanders.
So I do just want to say, I love doing like the what we would do mock drafts. These are the favorite kind of mock drafts.
This is not what
but
I would do.
I do just want to say, and this is going to be consistent with probably all of my mocks. Shedeur's not getting past the Giants at 3. I'm just going to point that out there. They're going to take one of these 2 quarterbacks. It's either going to be Cam Ward or Shedeur. Hard to say who they're going to be higher on, but just to go back to that draft spot, they are backed into an absolute corner.
Yeah.
So
it's like Tua having the gun to the Dolphins' head.
Yeah, you might know a thing or two about that.
A little bit.
But all right, so I get to pick for my New York Jets. All right. Mason Graham's always the easy pick here, right? It's you think about do other guys make any sense?
Right.
I don't know. I'm gonna stay chalk on that one and go Mason Graham for the Jets. I mean, it's already we're only in January or are we February 1st yet?
No, that's tomorrow. Well, that's not even tomorrow. It's the next day.
Yeah. But we're very early in draft season. This already feels kind of beat into the dirt. But I mean, dude, you put him next to Quinn. I said Sheldon Rankins instead of Quinn and got roasted for it. But I do think if they're doing things the right way with Aaron Glenn, nice hire, comes from that Detroit background where they took time, they invested in the trenches, and set things up the right way. I mean, hard to beat that pick right there.
Yeah.
And I like what they got on the O-line.
Yeah.
To kind of look at the defense there.
Okay. So you're not really questioning their potential need at right tackle at the top of the draft.
Well, we'll see what they do.
Yeah.
We'll see what they do with. Geez, my name recall has been so bad today.
Fant?
No, it's not Fant.
Tripping.
It's my guy who came from Baltimore.
Yes. Morgan Moses.
Morgan Moses. Thank you
there
so
we
much.
go.
1 year deal?
Yeah. He and Tyron were on ones.
Yeah. I think they probably try to get him back because they've had so many bad years with right tackle, and the good one they had was when they had Morgan Moses, and then they let him go to Baltimore. They get him back. I think they don't make the same mistake twice on that front. So yeah.
Perfect. Well, pick number 8 with Carolina. I honestly thought that this edge group kind of showed us everything that we were hoping to see, but maybe not more than that. I wasn't blown away and been like, well, these guys are just absolutely ludicrous. Like, they had a lot of questions whether, like with Shamar Stewart, it's going to be the production. Same thing with Mikael Williams. But I think the player to me that I'd possibly bank on, but it's not super realistic because at pick 8, the frame is going to be a concern. We'll have to see at the combine, but it's going to be James Pierce. James Pierce is a player that I love to death. He is my number 2 player in the class. When completely healthy, he is a very reminiscent of Dallas Turner, but maybe slightly a reduced version of. I thought that, he was similar to Nick's, or I think we were talking about this in the other episode, but, basically deploying a spin move into someone's chest.
Yeah.
Who was that? Was that Landon Jackson or was that Shamar Stewart? Remember we were talking about somebody who's still putting it together.
It was Landon Jackson.
Oh, yeah.
It was Landon Jackson. So, so very similarly, like last year in 2023, we saw that with James Pierce doing it directly into J.C. Latham's chest. Like, timing wasn't there. This year, I thought the timing was. So that's right now where my head's at. But out of the guys available, what do you think is the most probable and also the one that you guys like the most?
I think that's great.
Yeah.
He's played in their stadium. I watched him play at the Duke's Mayo Classic.
Yeah.
Tennessee versus NC State. No, I think it makes a ton of sense. That if Tet's not there, I think you're talking edge.
Right.
Almost every time for them.
Feels like it should be a heavy defensive draft for them.
Yeah.
The New Orleans Saints. Do we know who the DC is yet? They haven't even hired Kellen Moore yet.
They haven't hired a head coach.
They want Kellen.
Yeah.
We'll see if Kellen wants them.
All right. Well, I don't know what schematically they're going to run. It's no more longer Dennis Allen, so there isn't necessarily a type there.
Yep.
So I'm gonna highlight a Senior Bowl guy. I'm gonna go with Mike Green here for the Saints.
The Mike Green.
Yeah, I mean, dude, he was fun as hell. You get to pair him up with Carl Anderson. They can financially bring back.
Yep.
Chase Young. Peyton Turner and Isaiah Foskey were just kind of guys that didn't work out. So, yeah, it was either that or go with an offensive line option. And I'm feeling more optimistic about this class and the ability to get that day 2.
Okay.
Nice. Da Bears are up.
Da Bears.
So
Genty.
They could go in I think 3 directions. Offensive line, probably being last would be the pecking order there, but edge absolutely in play.
Yep.
As a Packers fan facing them, no fear factor on that D line whatsoever. With all due respect to Montez Sweat, he's a good player and he can only do so much by himself.
Yep.
So that would be where my mind goes first for them. Genty, 100% Genty. I got to get better. I'm getting roasted for saying his name wrong. But no, I mean you got Ben Johnson coming over, and they want to run the ball.
Yep.
And I mean he got rid of DeAndre Swift the last time he had him, so like that's absolutely going to be in play.
I didn't even think of that. That's hilarious.
I just thought of that as well.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Forgot about that.
So maybe that alone might hint towards Genty.
Wow.
So it's tough. I mean, I agree with what you said about the offensive line. I think, especially like if you don't take one here, all you're doing is continuing to push it down the board a little bit more. It only increases your chances of getting someone in the second. So the question is, how do you feel about the edge guys? Like, you've got questions about Mykel Williams.
Yep.
He's kind of a project. He's not going to step in and help you right away necessarily. It just comes down to, like, how do you feel about the edge guys if the value is there at the 10th pick? You know, Mykel Williams, you're going to have a lot of questions about the development, tons of traits, tons of upside. Josh Sweat, probably not a bad, like, physical comp in terms of, like, size, speed, and all that. So you get a little mentor there. Obviously, Mike Green's off the board here, could be in play. You know, we've just had a couple of edge rushers come off the board. James Pierce too. So I think I'm gonna go Genty.
Yeah.
Nice.
I am, because I think if you're the Bears and you're taking edge, probably not going the project route. I'd rather get that help now, because it's like I said, they've been missing it for so long that they're ready. They're ready to get some help there.
I mean, I just find it hilarious just now thinking that I could imagine DeAndre Swift hearing, Ben Johnson's gonna be your coach, and he's like, the mix of emotions. It's like, am I actually?
He called his realtor real quick.
Yeah. He was like, "Can I have your number on speed dial, because I might need to put up my house real soon, or we might actually be in for something awesome." As soon as this pick goes in, that house is up for sale though. But pick number 11, San Francisco. I think obviously right tackle would have been certainly one of my considerations at this point. I don't trust Will Campbell at the moment. Don't trust Kelvin Banks at the moment to truly fill in that right tackle need. I was praying for Josh Connerly to show something at right tackle. He showed his back to the ground. And so I really think that he's going to be a little bit more viewed as a project if you want him to be on the right side. But really, he showed a lot more poise and effort and actual production over on the left side. So I'm going to...
How much further do you think like Trent Williams plays? Because, I mean, he was beat up this year. He's like, 37 now?
He's coming to the end of the road. I think he's got maybe 1 or 2 years.
Yeah. That's why there's certain guys in this class I think can use 1 extra year of development. You think about Belton. He could end up kicking into guard where Banks is right now and being an heir apparent. Or you can talk about Ursary as well, depending on where that value is going to be. If I'm going to be going for that, you're essentially selecting a guard tackle long run, which could be what Connerly does. But for Connerly, I don't know if I necessarily want him to be a Trent Williams successor. I want someone who's going to be a little bit more of a road grader that can become a little bit more polished. So outside of that, I do think technically speaking, edge would have been in play here, and I still think it is. Offensive line definitely still could be convinced, but Mykel Williams, he does need a mentor. Nick Bosa is that. They continue getting stopgap guys to be filling in these edge positions, and it really is, I think, one of the big hampers of San Francisco is they're relying so heavily on Nick Bosa to be productive. So I'm curious what you guys think of Mykel Williams. I know it's not necessarily the best win-now move, but I also think this team is trying to retool for the future, and allowing a year of development of Mykel Williams as he gets healthy, to me, might be the best move.
It gives you a versatile piece, a guy that has worked inside and out.
Yeah. I do think, you either got to go edge or offensive tackle because the Niners are a team that aren't picking at the top 10 very often. So you want to really nail those,
it's the trenches.
Those are the positions that you just, once you get into the 20s, it gets way, way harder to consistently find those guys. I think that's totally fair.
I have one question for y'all. Do you think that Josh Simmons' medicals will genuinely push him down? Or is this in a realistic range where he could go?
It's an ACL. I think he'll be fine. He doesn't have a history of
when was the injury?
Problems.
What time was it?
Week 6.
So what it was October?
I'm saying, so the reason I would do that is at San Diego State, he ended up playing right tackle. He has experience there. It's his worst year in the past 3, but he's also polished year after year.
Well, I think if they're taking a tackle here, it's their Trent Williams long-term replacement one way or another. So, I mean, I would go tackle personally, but...
I'm going to stick it out for my number 1 tackle pre-injury, and I will go Josh Simmons and say that the ACL is not going to be a primary factor. But I do think it's still worth mentioning that Mykel Williams was heavily, heavily considered there.
Fair enough.
All right, Dallas Cowboys. I don't have to pick Ashton Genty. This is great.
Did I take another pick of yours?
Man, you're kind of getting this.
I mean, to be fair, it's such a copy and paste pick, and just so chalky.
Yeah, it
just makes so much sense. I'd like to think they're probably going to stick with the offense. Maybe get another guy there with CeeDee Lamb. I don't know about Luther Burden because I do think he's probably better off in the slot, at least primarily, maybe a 40-60 split, someone you can be real creative with because, he had 29 forced missed tackles this year. He's elusive in that regard, but I think I am looking for someone that can function outside. I was thinking maybe defensive line help, but it's kind of just flown off the board.
Yeah.
And So I think I'm gonna go with Matt Golden out of Texas because I think the hype's real with him. I was later on him than you were when I got to watch him, and by that time he'd already become kind of the alpha because Bond was banged up.
Yeah.
And I think he's got the speed. I think he's going to test out really well at the combine. I hear it's going to be a 4.3, which I was like, oh, wow, man.
Yeah.
It's incredible. He's got that my ball mentality, go up, get it, which was perfect for Ewers, who wasn't exactly, on target every time down the field. But, dude,
say that again.
I think I like that.
Okay.
And he's from Texas.
Yeah,
Go
it's kind of perfect.
Yeah.
All right, I get to pick for Steven's Dolphins here.
Fins up, baby.
With the 2 linemen at the top still available, I'll go Will Campbell, and I don't think Brochman's going to complain.
No problem.
I don't think Brochman's going to have any complaints about that. They need guard help. You can replace Austin Jackson. He's under contract again next year, I would assume.
Is it next year? I think it was it
was a 3.
Yeah, because this is the first year. I'm sure they could probably get off the contract after 2.
Guarantees.
Yeah, so you get the flex piece. It's a perfect spot.
Okay, Will Campbell it is. With Indy, this is going to be short and sweet. I'm going Tyler Warren all day. The first thing to help out your quarterback the most is going to be able to get a good offensive line. The second thing is to get a reliable tight end or running back. They already have the reliable running back. They already have the pretty damn solid offensive line. You're trying to invest in the future of Anthony Richardson. I'm going to go after the player that's the most reliable, and to me, that's Tyler Warren.
I love it.
Very nice. Nice and quick succession. Atlanta Falcons. I want pass rush. You
do?
I do.
You don't even have to leave the home state.
Don't even have to leave the home state. I could take
if you don't want
to. I could go with a Walker. I could go with a Williams.
You could trade the pick for Quay Walker.
So many options. Man.
Switch him to edge, the position he should be playing.
Oh my god.
I think I'm gonna go with Jalen Walker because I think he looks good in terms of just how few snaps he's actually played. as like a true edge, because he's kind of been this pseudo piece. He got a chance when Mikael Williams went down to play a little bit more primarily as an edge. And I mean, dude, he's got length. I think he's like 6'2". I kind of like these more stout guys anyway. So yeah, get some pass rush.
And those like kind of stand up athlete types. It's definitely gonna be what Raheem's looking for. All right, Arizona. I mean, it's like tackle, receiver, edge. They're another team that needs like really a lot of help at all the premium positions. I do like Luther Burden. I do. I mean, I have to review the tape and all that, but I did catch a lot of him the year before, and like, man, there was even, he's not as good as Malik Neighbors, but the same kind of idea of just the guy can go inside and out, explosive player.
That's how I felt coming in. I was like, oh, this is gonna be like a Malik Neighbors, and I was like, oh no, not this year.
And
that's Brady Cook's fault, to be fair. The offense was just not
completely. No, I mean, Malik Neighbors is kind of
not to that tier.
It's a bit hyperbolic.
Yes.
All that said, we still got Kelvin Banks.
You do.
We do still have Kelvin Banks.
Think Monty.
But I do think at some point in the draft, Arizona needs just a little bit more juice, a little more speed. But Kelvin Banks makes a ton of sense to me. You can lock it in. Okay. But whether you're playing him at right tackle or left tackle, and you probably would stick him at right and let him figure it out. That's kind of awkward because they had Paris at right and then left and then left guard, but I think they want to probably keep him at left tackle now that they made that switch. So, just cornerstone tackle duos.
Okay. For Cincinnati, I think I want to fix the defense first. There's a lot of routes that you could go. If I did see that like Will Campbell slipped to this point, I'm notorious for taking him there because the guards are absolutely atrocious. I also like the upside of potentially filling in terms of Orlando Brown gets hurt or have a successor there for him. But defense needs help. I'm going to go after the player with the most potential to be able to learn from Trey Hendrickson. Same logic as I was going to go with the 49ers. I'm going to go with Mikael Williams. A source that's close to us ended up talking about his board and ended up saying that he was his number 6 overall player in the class. Very respected as one of the big sports sites. So, I have a lot of faith that other people will have similarly high grades on him. So I do think it's realistic he goes in this range or before. And the frame's ridiculous. The potential's ridiculous. And the thing I love the most about Mikael, because in the start of the year, I had him in my 100 range. Like, genuinely did not believe that the talent he was ready for the NFL. As he got more healthier this year, he got better. And I thought he translated a lot more. And I could see that trend continuing with someone like Trey Hendrickson to guide him along the way.
Yeah, he played more edge, like, devotedly. That's a weird way to put it.
Devotedly?
Yes. Primarily. But yeah, he did look better as he healed from the high ankle sprain. I thought you were going to snag someone who I'm going to go here with the Seattle Seahawks being Gray Zabel. I think he's been the best offensive lineman.
I love it.
Yes.
He took snaps at center, at guard.
Need both.
Fun fact. Need both. I think he's been the best offensive lineman here.
Yeah.
Like, pretty easily.
By a good margin.
Yeah, and I mean, the offensive line has impressed me a ton this week because I was a bit lower on that. So, again, egg on my face, but hey, pleasantly surprised.
I saw John Snyder at the airport.
Did you really?
I didn't say hi, but I was waiting to get my second rental car, so about an hour too late to tell him, go get Zabel.
Go get Zabel.
They need to do it. They need to finally invest in the interior offensive line. I think it's been like 4 straight years mock drafting them linemen in the first round, and it's like
they could have used Troy Fautanu when healthy.
Absolutely,
they could use that.
And they're just going to keep burning through offensive coordinators if they don't get this fixed.
As a Dolphins fan, do it.
Yeah,
do it.
I'm a big fan.
Do it now.
All right, Bucks are on the clock. These edge rushers are just disappearing. We could think about a corner here.
Yeah.
Who would be your next guy off the board at this point? Like, it kind of gets a little crazy. I mean, Amos did have a really good week. It's probably a little early, but they need. He's a bigger, lengthier guy, right? I don't want to press anything, but because Jade I know is a little smaller, and the top 2 guys, Ravel and Morrison, are coming off the injuries.
Right. You guys.
Those are 2 pretty big no-nos for the Bucks. They hate injured players. That's a big thing for Jason Light. He's a big guy that's like, I need like games played, like check that box. It's a big reason they moved off of Carlton Davis.
Yeah.
So you talk about those two corners coming off the injury, and then they like bigger corners too. So
would you look at Darian Porter then, who could be running the 4-2s?
You know,
inexperienced.
I think it's probably a little early.
Yeah.
Okay. If he runs 4-2-8.
Man, it's a tough spot because it does feel a little early for Amos, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Just a little bit.
And I mean, they don't really reach. They're really, really sound. So I mean, like Luther Burden, like just popped in my mind. Thank you.
Yeah, I got you.
I just want to make sure there's no names I'm like forgetting here.
Let's see. We still have Connerly on the board, by the way. He had a rough week, though. Shamar Stewart's still here if you want to go after that edge route. Nick Scorpion as well.
When does Logan Hall do for a contract?
Scorton could play like the D end spot there, but I don't know. I think I will take Luther Burden. I don't know that Godwin's going to be back for them. I mean, factor in what I just said about the injury stuff too. Like they love Chris to death, but that's going to be a lot of money for a guy coming off the injury. I like what we saw from McMillan. I think it is a relatively large ask to say, okay, go be number 2 now. Yeah. I think there was some ups and downs with him having to do that throughout the end of the season. So it's not the need pick.
Yep. But
I'm going to go Luther Burden.
All right. I just realized we all are doing the exact same like power stance too.
Because we're thinking.
Yeah. Like we're all like,
Yeah.
All right. Well,
none of us are used to standing. Like,
right.
We always just sit behind a desk and stare.
Okay, to be fair, I have a standing desk, so this is regular for me. But I'm not used to like looking at individuals or you guys being able to see my legs going fucking crazy horse down here. But Denver at pick number 20. It's an interesting spot because I actually really like Malachi Starks, and I usually don't have him here. Not going to say that safety's off the board for the Denver Broncos. They do like to go best player available. I do think also a player I want to mention here is going to be running back Amari Hampton. I don't know what your thoughts are on him yet or if you've updated yet on his evaluation, but I'm a super fan of his.
Okay.
Like top 10, like blue chip level super fan. I think they definitely need to go after the running back position. Also a very deep class. Don't think it's a necessity, but it's a deep class. But wide receiver Emeka Egbuka, I also think is a relatively realistic pick here. He's a good blocker. He's just a damn good football player, and he's used to playing in the snow and the cold. So I think he could actually really thrive there in Denver. Between those guys, what do you guys think about in terms of, what you guys would be looking for?
I don't think you're crazy on Hampton.
Yeah.
But I agree about Egbuka as well.
Yeah. So. It's a tough spot to be in.
Unfortunately agree about Egbuka because I'm picking for Pittsburgh here. So he was kind of like a guy in my mind.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not bad. What about, there's a Colston Loveland right there.
Yeah, I mean, you could do it, but we also just saw Elijah Arroyo go off, and we also saw that there's just a lot of tight ends in this class that I would trust down the board.
Tried.
I know. You made a good argument. You know what? I'll bless you.
No, it's fine. Do what you want. Yeah, do what you want. I have a backup plan.
I think that the Denver Broncos, I'm going to trust Sean Payton to be able to snipe some wide receiver talent. We're going to go to Amari Hampton here and go after somebody who can be a really nice relief option on every down.
Back to the UNC.
Back to UNC
department for running back.
I mean, to be fair, Amarian is almost a combination of Carter and Williams coming out for me. Good contact balance, good explosiveness, good downfield vision.
Totally.
Okay, nice. So
You're welcome.
I guess I'm gonna take Egbuka. Let me ask, because my backup there was gonna be Shamar Stewart. Have him come in there, kind of be a pseudo 3-4, and that could also kick out. Okay,
he's not ready to admit that T.J. Watt is on the.
Oh my God! I am not ready to admit that T.J. Watt is replaceable. If that's what you're trying to say.
I didn't say replaceable. I said will need to be replaced at some point.
And you need a quarterback.
Is the timeline?
Can you imagine what you get back in a trade for T.J. Watt?
You could get Caleb Williams.
Apparently, if we send him, George Pickens, and 6 first-round picks at draft time. What's the timeline?
They definitely don't need edge.
Yeah, but what's the timeline though? In your opinion, because that would be I think anybody needs to be replaced, but the question is when.
Well, I think you've got Highsmith and Herbig.
They're doing great.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I don't know that Herbig's going to be a full-time guy or not. I think it's possible. I mean, he could play out the rest of his career there. He could retire early because he's JJ, because that's what JJ did.
Yeah.
It's really hard to say. But I think you got to have some honest conversations about how many reps, how often he was winning reps, why that happened, what happened. I'm not ready to sit here and totally agree they should take Edge, but I think the conversation should be had.
That's fair. Like I said, that was kind of like my back pocket because fortunately I'm going to take Emeka Ibuka. He is literally, and I told you this today, he is your veggies. Yeah. He is just something that you need. He's a nice chain mover. I think he showed some decent vertical ability later in the year in that playoff game against Oregon. Just a good player, man. Just insert good player.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Ibuka is just the definition of consistency. When healthy, like in 2023, I thought he really struggled because he was playing while not being healthy. But Brian Hartline trusts him. I'm going to trust him. We've been sniping receivers down the board since 2007 because 2006 was the last time we drafted a first-round receiver in Santonio Holmes. But at the same time, we're starting to see that a lot of those players might have also slipped because of concerns outside of their playing ability. So I'm not going to say that is solely because we have a great eye for talent.
Yeah, and this is no secret, but I hear Ohio State receivers are good.
What?
So my thought with the Chargers up at 22 and immediately went to Kenneth Grant just because of the Michigan connection. There's not a whole lot of buzz for him right now that he's going to actually go this high.
Because he just interviewed, right? At the
Shrine. He did not participate at the Shrine. Walter Nolan had a really solid week if you're looking at defensive interior, and I assume that Harbaugh's going to love guys who consistently put on performances even in these All-Star Bowls.
Are you looking for more of a girthy guy?
For interior D-line?
More of a hefty guy, I should say that. Girthy sounds dirty.
I think they'll take.
This is a PG show.
I think they'll take any talent, anything,
anything. Just pure.
I'm gonna actually go with another Michigan player, Colston Loveland, for them.
Yeah.
I had this thought throughout the season watching the Chargers, where, like, obviously Ladd was awesome. Quentin's frustrating, obviously, but they had some good moments. Him and Herbert kind of starting to come along a little bit as like. Okay, maybe one more year, Quentin can settle in as like a 2, maybe. Obviously, they would have gone with other receivers if they had hindsight. But for me, watching the offense, I was like, let's get a tight end in here, like an actual pass-catching tight end, because you're trotting Will Dissly out there. I love Will Dissly, but Greg Roman, look, say what you want about him, he's really good at utilizing tight ends and taking different types of athletes and getting them in space and making them a real integrated part of the offense, and I feel like Herbert has had a history of using that position too. So I really think that's kind of like the piece offensively that could help them the most.
Okay. I have your team in the Packers now, so we each had.
That's wild.
So you had Marcus.
We didn't plan this.
I have Marcus.
We didn't plan this well.
We didn't. Yeah, we did not. So I'm having your team.
I had Schmo's team.
Yeah, and then you had mine. So this is interesting here, but. So I'm going to be referencing, or I'm going to be talking to you about this. So there's 2 guys who I'm primarily looking at here. There's plenty more that I could consider. But I'm looking at Shamar Stewart coming off a very, very, very strong Senior Bowl in terms of showing that he's not just the guy who is just a big, fast dude. He did show a little bit more technical skill and a lot more applied power than I think Lucas Van Ness, who I was a little bit lower on as well. And then I'm also looking at Benjamin Morrison. I think that boundary corner position definitely, if you do lose Jair, when you lose Jair, I do think that Ben Morrison, he's my number 5 player right now, maybe number 4, I don't know. But top 5 guy on my board, and he is coming off that season-ending hip injury, so that's why he's here. But it is somebody that is able to handle number 1 receivers. So based on those 2, and then maybe toss in another one of your own, maybe Walter Nolan, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's Morrison.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's best player available for me too, so I get it.
The thing is, like, Gutekunst is a stubborn, like, old school scout, and like, and I mean that as like a compliment at times. Where like, look, he's pretty good at evaluating. The first round process has been frustrating at times, but where I'm getting at is, I don't think he's going to be ready to give up on Van Ness.
Sure.
For better or worse. I mean, it's hurt him at times. There's other players that he's nailed. So I don't think he's really interested in the edge. This early, they have a pretty good plethora of like rotational guys too. So like I think they actually really like the talent that they have.
They're just waiting for it to finally.
They
polish
fired
it.
their D-line coach. I think they're really disappointed in the growth this year, but they've put so much. So you say like interior D-line and edge. It's like, look, man, I think the guys are there. I think they think the guys are there. So I really am not thinking D-line.
Okay.
For me, yeah, it's like corner is pretty close to a lock. I think for the Packers for your first round mocks.
I'm rocking it then. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I mean, again, best player available for me, and also somebody that.
Well, and they also acknowledge, like, if you go back and look at the guys they draft, it's either a Georgia guy or it's like someone that played outside,
right?
Because they do recognize like you have to have a certain mentality to play in Green Bay, where no one wants to be, and I mean seriously, you don't want to be a player like you have to be a football person. To be excited about getting drafted to go live in Green Bay, Wisconsin, like you do, like, and then to go play cold weather. So like they have to lean into that. So that they are going to go to Notre Dame, Iowa, like more often than not.
Right.
So especially a position like corner where these guys are kind of like whatever the football version of like being Hollywood is. Like, like there's not a lot of corners that are like, oh hell yeah, let's go play in negative -5 weather. You know? So.
That makes sense.
I like the Morrison fit a lot.
Yeah. You're basically saying he's proven to be willing to go into that environment that's undesirable. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, Minnesota Vikings. I was considering Morrison because, their top 3 corners are all free agents. Is Malachi Stark still on the board?
Yeah.
Because the Cameron Bynum's free agent, but they could bring him back. Harrison Smith's a free agent. Feel like he's still playing like fairly all right football, but he's like 34 or something.
Yeah.
They like 3 safety sets.
They do.
So it's still like,
how big is Malachi?
I think he's like
190.
Was he 190?
Is he like 6'1", 190? Maybe 185.
No, he's not that.
Does it say if you tap on him?
No. Yeah, that's what's nice about PFF. Be crazy if we had a username and password.
Oh, ha 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 ha. 6'1",
Oh shit! I thought he was a little bit lighter than that.
Well, I mean, I think from an athleticism standpoint, he could actually play outside slot, deep in the box. It was kind of a down-ish year for him. I think sometimes he has that like deer in the headlights look in coverage, but there's no denying like the potential, the talent. And I mean, you just snagged Benjamin Morrison in front of me, so calling an audible corner class. Honestly, on day 2, it's not terrible. There's some guys there. Yeah. So I think I'm gonna go with Starks, man. This is good value.
I mean, I kind of like that, honestly. Like you said, just
hopefully no Lewis Scene vibes.
Yeah. Another trophy safety in the first.
No, he was a different situation for sure. I mean, they had a ton of success doing 3 safety stuff, especially last year, and
with Metlis too.
Metellus. Yeah.
Terrible name.
You weren't even close. No, I'm just kidding. I'm curious to hear what Vikings fans think of that one, because they're screaming for corner, I'm sure. But
I hear it. Yeah. I hear it.
Yeah, but you got second round still exists, so I like it.
Well, not for them, but because
they got third.
They got third.
Oh,
yeah.
Free agency stuff. I mean, they brought in like Griffin, and they were solid out there.
Yeah.
This is the saying of Minnesota sports. There's always next year.
Oh my God.
Sorry, Garrett.
Yeah, shout out to Football Analysis YouTube. Rest in peace, Garrett.
No, it's real. Like, I do think they bring Byron Murphy back.
Yeah, I believe that too.
Yeah. Houston.
Why was Griffin the first guy I went to? They had Gilmore there too, and I said Griffin. Golly.
I think I gotta go Tyler Booker for Houston. It's slight shades of Kenyon Green, kind of same idea. Just grab the mauler that just looks the part and just beats the shit out of people in college.
Yeah.
And obviously that didn't work out, but
Tyler Booker's better than
he's pretty sweet. And I mean, dude, the interior offensive line for Houston was probably the biggest liability that a playoff team had, like position-wise.
My mom texted me about it. It was that. I mean, my mom's not a non-ball knower.
Is your mom a ball knower?
She knows the ball, but she literally texted me, like cold texted me, not middle conversation, cold texted me. Houston needs offensive line. So if it's that obvious, get somebody that is pretty much a guaranteed hit at that point. You fan of that one too?
Booker, I love Booker, man.
Yeah, no, big fan of his game. For the Rams at 26, even though he had a pretty struggle week, he had a struggle primarily at right tackle. I'm going to be sending Josh Connerly in for the Rams, developing him as the left tackle. Yeah, I fucked you over big time again. I know. I love you so much. But like Alaric Jackson to me is not the grand finale of the future. I think Josh Connerly has that potential to truly be something special. And the way he's grown at left tackle, he increased, like about 20% overall in terms of how much faith I had in him over the year grade-wise, and that's ludicrously large, which is why I feel like it's okay for him to have struggled there at right tackle, because he's somebody that is someone who needs to learn and grow and develop, and he's still doing it at left tackle. You throw him in at right, it showed that maybe he's not going to be Joe Alt and then be an instant fit right away, day one.
All right, so Baltimore Ravens, man. Ronnie Stanley's a free agent, and Connerly, he's not there. Never mind. I think this is where I'm going to pull the trigger on Shamar Stewart. I felt like the pass, it was inconsistent. Like, they have fine guys there, but, like, you could tell, like, a lot of their sacks were, like, coverage sacks. Like, Marlon Humphrey kind of had a resurgence both inside and outside. Wiggins looking like a beast. Love it. So they get a physical and possibly versatile freak. It's what he ended up being 6'6", 281.
281.
I mean, they're theoretically still with the McDonald scheme background. That system's really good at putting different body types on matchups that will work well for them. So when you're talking about this kind of rare specimen type, it's like could make a ton of sense and end up sliding inside tackle, rushing from a 4-eye, and then the next play is out rushing wide 9, like whatever works. So that was where my mind went immediately when they were up. Okay, I have fallen in love with the Jack Sawyer to Detroit.
I mean, I've done it a billion times.
I think outside of tearing up the Michigan flag.
At least for now, I'm not going to take that away from Lions fans, I think.
Okay.
I mean, that second edge spot in Detroit is just a gaping hole, and then talk about, like, literally their type.
Blue collar.
You can already picture, like, just the think of, like, the Williams Wall and, like, these, like, historic, like, nicknames for, like, duos of players. Those two guys together with the Michigan-Ohio State background, two white dudes, like, just tough as shit. Like, it's just... It is Detroit Lions football, so it's like...
Okay.
It's going to be really hard not to make this pick.
Yeah, I mean, it's a perfect culture fit, and that's what truly matters at the end of the day, as well as it doesn't matter when these guys get picked. At the end of the day, they all end up getting their contracts and then their roster spots. So Jack Sawyer, damn good player, damn good dude, perfect system fit, and perfect culture fit. So 29 with Washington, a lot of fun players. A lot of them on the defensive interior, which is like the one thing they really don't need. I trust Dan Quinn to be able to maximize the talent of edge rusher. He pretty much made nobodies at this moment into legitimate somebodies. The question is, what other positions do you want to go? And wide receiver, cornerback, those are the ones that I'd be focused on the most. And like wide receiver wise, like if Almainer comes out and has like a crazy process, like he could end up being it, crazy work ethic, I think you're gonna love him.
I've already done him.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay, I like him. I like his playmaking IQ. Yeah. He really does evolve his routes properly.
I didn't slap a final grade on him because I thought he was going to be out here and I was going to wait. But no, I like him a lot. Super smooth. He's like a bigger, stronger, healthier, more consistent Michael Wilson.
Yeah. And I really like that about his game. But I think out of the sake of reality, you got Revel here, you got Amos, you got Azarie Thomas. I think those three are going to be great understudies there for you. Combine that with Mikey Samer still, I think that might be the best option. But I'm curious what y'all think in this situation.
Well, it's interesting because they put Samer still outside, and I think they're going to keep him there. He was really good.
Yep.
They traded for Marshawn Lattimore.
He's been notoriously unhealthy.
If you're taking a guy here, it means you're taking him probably to play in the nickel.
which would be Jahdae Barron in
Right.
that case. But you know what? I actually ended up long-term vision. Since you made me think about that, I saw Jalen Smith talk with the Washington Commanders. That's going to be a late day 2, early day 3 pick.
Yeah.
I think they're going to prioritize that at that point. I just don't. I've been talking about maximizing the value of the edge position. Sometimes you got to go best player available. To me, Nick Scorton is exactly that.
Feels like a Dan Quinn.
He's
player.
just, yeah. I mean, he's just a damn good player. I wanted to be cute with it and say he could get it down the board, but sometimes you just got to get the best guy.
All right, Buffalo Bills. I love the Buffalo Bills. I think defensive line's kind of like where they want to go, and dude, the interior's kind of just falling down the board.
Yeah.
So get a little more heft next to Ed Oliver there. Kenneth Grant, I think, kind of fits the bill.
Yeah.
So
Literally in metaphor.
Nice.
Yeah. All right, Kenneth Grant. It is Philly.
All right, let's pull up, like, where's the 200s? Like, can we get Howie Roseman to reach for once in his life? I've been talking to people about just how absolute money these guys are drafting.
Yeah.
To the point that, like, where do you even go? Like, their roster is just stupid. I do think, like, offensive line is always going to be on their radar. Becton, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets priced out for them.
Oh, yeah.
And then you're right back to, like, needing another guard. So that could definitely be, you know, kind of obviously if he's gone, you have, like, a huge need there.
You got Milam that
the
could
edge
fill
room yet again. It's funny, like, I just praised him, but they continue to need to replenish those two groups, actually, because sounds like Josh Sweat may or may not be on the move. So, you know, we'll learn a lot more about their needs in terms of the decisions they make there. I'm gonna take a look at the interior of the offensive line.
Yeah.
there's a lot of good
Like,
players
who-
there.
You got Jackson, Savania, your best friend and friend of the show, Marcus Bowe. Membu as well, getting a lot of love potentially as that right tackle as well. He is a native right tackle, got a stomach bug, which is why he couldn't perform in front of us, which really sucked. But
I don't love any of these guys right here, though.
could I pitch Walter Nolan to you to replace Milton Williams?
Milton Williams, another free agent. Yeah, no, that I like that.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I was like,
call. Good
I was
call.
like, you weren't passionate about him. I'm like, I saw him, I'm like, yeah, he's an Eagle.
That's a great call. That's a great call.
I'll take that all day. Chiefs. I kind of want to make this pick together with you guys because it's the final pick of the draft. So rather than having just one person choose, like I'm curious what you guys would be looking for here. For me, if Colson Loveland is available, I'd be evaluating that as a potential Kelsey replacement for the long haul. Gray got his contract, but I don't really trust him to be that true tight end one. There.
No, he's a 2.
Yeah, he's a 2.
Yeah, he's a 2.
But technically speaking, could they be looking at Elijah Arroyo here as if he ends up having that bomb Senior Bowl and Pro Day? Like, could he be that dark horse pick 32 based on how much they use him?
Well, if they win the Super Bowl, they're going to be picking to go for the 4-peat, not thinking about replacing Travis Kelce.
Oh, okay.
Like, my mind went straight to guys like Derek Harmon and Deion Walker.
They also drafted the TCU guy that
Jared Wiley.
Wiley.
Yeah, Wiley.
Yeah.
So
I like Wiley too. But
they lose Noddy and they also lose Wharton, potentially if they don't re-sign, obviously.
Right. And assuming that we'll ever be able to see all the players, we also could look at that boundary corner position. Siobhan Revel's here. Trey Amos is here. And then we also have Azarie Thomas. I assume we'll be looking at that boundary corner position as well.
Well, yeah, because they do kind of need that because Josh Williams came back from the injury. Yeah. And
also a Senior Bowl guy from a couple years ago.
You're right.
That's where he really started to stand out.
But they have been kind of scratching and clawing for that third corner. So I think I think that could make a lot of sense.
Yeah. I was debating putting Trey Amos here, Senior Bowl guy as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
But what are you thinking right now?
I have no problems with that.
I know you're Harmon.
Yeah, well, I was thinking maybe more Walker just because.
At like 32.
Yeah, because, he comes in, he physically at least looks like he could stop the run. But
not Clay Webb.
Not Clay Webb, but no.
Can you imagine you line up and it's Chris Jones?
Dude, that's nuts, right?
Yeah, it is
and you're facing the 3-time
He's
Super
never
Bowl
going to want to
champions.
leave.
Just
the
like,
3-time Super Bowl
just
champions.
Drop the helmet like, I need a beer. Like, this is stupid. What are we doing?
That's what we're getting at.
I think pitching maybe like Donovan Jackson with his like tackle guard flexibility.
If Trey Smith gets priced out of there, then absolutely that is a valuable position.
Left tackle right now playing.
He's been doing good. Yeah.
All right. Okay. I would say tackle or corner.
Tackle, corner?
Yeah. I'd be okay with either of those.
Tackle, corner. Are you saying D tackle or
Offensive tackle.
Offensive tackle. Are you going offensive or defensive tackle?
No, I'm saying I'm cool with either of those two options.
Okay.
Who's picking this?
We're all
We're doing it together.
We're all like staring at each other like someone make a pick. We're like,
Well, I was gonna say corner or defensive interior because I don't trust.
What corner are you taking here?
I would go Amos.
Amos?
Yeah, I'd go Amos or Harmon. Or well, I guess they could go for the freaking Walker, but I just don't think he's ready enough. So I'd go Amos or Harmon. What would you guys go with based on you said the positions?
I mean, he said you said tackle, offensive tackle, and
and
corner. So he'd probably go with the corner.
Okay.
Yeah, I like Amos.
You like Amos?
I like Amos too. Yeah.
All right, we'll go with Amos. Yeah, I mean he was really good here in the Senior Bowl as well. It's good to end off this pick with a couple of Senior Bowl guys.
And by the way, I do like the idea of Ravel, by the way, but I don't know that he's necessarily the like big, strong, get in your face type of corner.
Yeah,
that Amos probably is. So
right. That was a good one. It's a good idea. I don't use this very often. There we go.
That is pretty. I see why you like it.
Yeah, it's good at the end.
Yeah, what can I say?
During.
I'm a child, man. I'm a child.
You like all the colors.
I love colors.
You like the colors.
Plus, PFF just makes fun of you when you mock. They're like,
right?
D.
Yeah, I know.
You suck.
Leave me alone.
Oh, my God. Well, thank you guys again for coming on. Obviously, this Senior Bowl week has been incredible. It's crazy. We already did reactions on day 2 and day 1 on their channels, respectively. I don't know why you'd be subscribed to me, but not them. But if you are, you'll need to. So they're going to be in the description. But thank you guys again, and feel free to say goodbye to the people.
Thanks for having us. That was fun.
Yeah.
See you next time.
See you later.